3 days later, he went to Henry Blaine's office. He was an old friend of George and his lawyer as well. He had his place not far away from Peregrine's. Henry had his week split into 2 pieces. For 2 days a week, he was a country gentleman, and the other 5 days he was a busy lawyer in Sheffield. He was tall, vigorous, with an energetic manner and a jovial laugh, which made people think of him as a sportsman, a good mate, and eventually as a great lawyer. He was sharp, witty, and worldly wise.
Well, George, what's brought you here today?
Henry asked as George came in.
Having a good time in London? I'm taking my wife for the next few weeks. What about you?
It's about her I come to see you. Have you read her book? His sensitivity had been sharpened during those last days of travel, thought, and he noticed a slight change in his lawyer expression. This perception made him, all of a sudden, on his guard.
Yeah, I read the book. Great success, huh? Fancy breaking into the world of poetry. Wonders never cease.
It has made me look like a perfect dumb fool.
Oh, what nonsense, George. There's no harm on Eve writing a book. You should be really proud of her.
Oh, don't be a fool. It's her own story. You know it, I know it, we all know it. I'm starting to think that I was the only one who didn't know about his lover.
No, there's a thing called imagination, you old boy. There's no reason to believe that this whole thing is made up.
Look here, Henry. We've known one another all our lives. We've had all sorts of good times, good moments together. So be honest with me. Can you look me in the face and tell me that it's a made-up story?
You know you have no right of asking me that question. Ask Eve.
I daren't. I am afraid she'd tell me the truth.
Who was the chap?
I don't know, and if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Swine, don't you see what a position I'm in? Do you think that it's a very pleasant thing to be made absolutely ridiculous? I don't see what I can do for you.
You've got some private detectives you employ, I suppose. I want you to put them on the job to let them find everything out.
It is not very petty to put detectives on one's wife, and besides, supposing the affair actually happened, that happened many years ago, so it's really hard to find anything. And besides, they cover the tracks really well, so it's hard to find anything.
I don't care. You put the detectives on, I want to know the truth.
I won't, George. If you are determined to do that, you better consult someone else. And look here, even if you got evidence that Evie had been unfaithful to you, what would do with it? You'd look rather silly divorcing your wife because she committed adultery 10 years ago.
At all events, I could have it out with her.
You can do that now, but you know just as well as I do that if you do, she'll leave you. Do you want her to do that?
I don't know. I always thought she had been a damn good wife to me. She runs the house perfectly, and she never has any servant troubles. And she has done wonders with the gardens, and she is splendid with the village people. But damn it, I have my own self-respect to think of. How can I go on living with her when she has been grossly unfaithful to me?
Have you always been faithful to her?
More or less, you know. After all, we have been married for nearly 24 years, and Evie was never much for bed. I don't deny I have had a bit of fun now and then. A man wants it. Women are different.
You only have men's word for that.
Evie's absolutely the last woman I would have suspected of kicking out the traces. I mean, she's very fastidious, reticent woman. But what on earth made her write the damn book?
I suppose it was a very poignant experience, and perhaps it was a relief to her to get it off her chest like that.
Well, if she had to write it, why the devil didn't she write it under an assumed name?
Use her maiden name. I suppose she thought it was enough, and it would have been if the book hadn't had that amazing boom.
It's so rotten not to know what sort of chap he was. One can't even tell if he was by way of being a gentleman. I mean, for all I know, he may have been a farmhand or a clerk in a lawyer's office.
Neville so well, I think the probabilities are that he was alright. Anywho, I'm sure he wasn't in clerk in my office.
I don't believe that. I don't think she's capable of hatred.
You're not going to pretend she loves me.
No.
But what does she feel for me?
Indifference, I should say.
After all, you are not in love with her, are you?
It has been a great blow to me not to have any children. But I have never let her see that I think she had let me down. I have always been kind to her. Within reasonable limits, I have tried to do my duty by her.
It's been such an awful shock to me. Damn it all. Even 10 years ago, Evie was no chicken, and God's no. She wasn't much to look at. It's so ugly. What would you do in my place?
Nothing.
I can't overlook a thing like this. I have been made a laughing stock. I can never hold up my head again.
Nonsense. Listen, old boy. The man's dead. It all happened a long while back. Forget it. Talk to people about Evie's book, rave about it, tell him how proud you are of her, so you had so much confidence in her. You knew she could never have been unfaithful to you. The world moves so quickly and people's memories are so short, don't forget.
I shan't forget.
You're both middle-aged people. She probably does a great deal more for you than you think. You'll be awfully lonely without her. I don't think it matters if you don't forget. It will be also good if you can get into that thick head of yours that there's a lot more in Eve than you ever had the gumption to see.
Damn it all. You took as if I was to blame.
No, I don't think you were to blame, but I'm not so sure that Eve was either. I don't suppose that she wanted to fall in love with this boy, but do you remember the verses right at the end? The impression they gave me was that though she was shattered by his death, in a strange sort of way she welcomed it. All through she had been aware of the fragility of the tie that bound them. He died in the full flash of his first love and had never known that love so seldom endures. He'd only known its bliss and beauty. In her own bitter grief, she found solace in the thought that he'd been spared all sorrow.
All that's a bit above my head, old boy. I see more or less what you mean.
You realize what courage she must have had never by a sign to show how dreadfully unhappy she was?
I'm broken. I suppose you're right. It's no good crying over split milk, and it would only make things worse if I made a fuss.
Well,
I'll take your advice. I'll do nothing. Let them think me I'm a fool, and to hell with them. The truth is, I don't know what I'll do without Evie, but I'll tell you what. There's one thing I shall never understand in my dying day. What in the name of heaven did the fellow ever see in her?